Okay, I am back for science. I had to stop and go get some medicine for baby Cash, and now I'm back. So today we are going to talk about the water cycle. And did you know that water is very, very old? And water cycle on their folder goes right here, but I have discovered it is much too big to go on our folder right there, so I will show you a solution in just a minute. But the water cycle never stops, and it just keeps recycling over and over, just like laps on a clock. The water starts down on the earth, the sun heats it up, it evaporates, it goes back up to the clouds. It does a few other things than that, but that's the main process, and it comes back down, and it goes up, and it comes down. So I have written a little book, and it's called Drippy. And Drippy takes a journey, so we're going to take a journey with Drippy today. Says, "Hi, my name is Drippy. Today I'm going to take you on a great adventure. The adventure is known as the water cycle. Come on, let's go." All right, Drippy, we're going with you. Now my printer is out of ink, so I just had to print these pictures before I got my ink, and so it's a little not yellow. One day, Drippy floated lazily along the river, just bouncing up and down with the water's ripples. You know what water ripples are? The movement in the water. As the sun climbed higher and higher, Drippy began to get hot. Soon he felt himself floating up, up, up. Look at Drippy. He's going up. Now, does real water go up as droplets? Have you ever seen a droplet floating up to the sky? Not me. It turns into, like when Mama's boiling water on the stove and it turns into mist. It turns into very fine mist that you don't really see. You can feel humidity in the air. It's like, and everything kind of gets damp outside. But I wanted you to be able to see Drippy, so I made him a dot. There he is. He's gone all the way up to the clouds. Before he even knew what was happening, Drippy had gone up into the cool upper sky. What's going to happen to Drippy? He had evaporated. Drippy began to cool down quickly. He changed back to a water droplet and landed on a piece of dust. That's called condensation. When you go from a mist back to a droplet, that is condensation. Pop, pop, pop. Soon many other droplets appeared beside him. He had a lot of friends. "Nice to meet you," Drippy said to everyone. Look at his friends. A lot of water had evaporated and then condensed in the cloud to form droplets again. Because when water gets cool, it becomes a droplet again. And this is what happens next. As droplets continued to gather in the cloud, Drippy began to notice that the cloud was getting darker. Before long, Drippy and the other droplets began to fall down, down, down towards the ground. Look at Drippy. He's like, whee! He's ready for that exciting ride. All right. And they are landing on mountains. Drippy landed on the mountain and rolled down the side of the mountain. It was a bumpety ride. Finally, Drippy stopped. He was lying in the dirt under a blade of grass. Slowly, Drippy sank into the soft earth. Look at Drippy. Can you find him? He's really tiny. He's lying on the earth. He's fixing to be soaked into the earth, so he's fixing to have a different kind of adventure. He's been up in the sky. Now he's going down to the ground. It was exciting to see what was underground. Drippy felt something pulling him in, like he was being sucked through a straw. It was a plant root. Wow, now I will see what the inside of a plant looks like, thought Drippy. You see Drippy down there in the dirt? He's fixing to get sucked up into the plant root, and he's going to find out what it looks like inside of a plant. It was fun living inside of the plant and seeing all the plant cells, but before Drippy knew it, he was being expelled from the plant's leaf. "I've been through transpiration," said Drippy. "That's a lot like evaporation, except you are breathed out of a plant." So here we have a diagram that shows what it looks like. So the water gets sucked up into the root, travels up through the plant, comes out of the leaf, and evaporates from the leaf surface. That's called transpiration. It's a lot like evaporation. Drippy made his way back up to the clouds, and he met some of his old friends that he had met in the cloud before. They all shared their stories of where they had been and what they had seen. Before long, Drippy was coming down from the cloud again and landed right back in the river where this story began. Drippy stretched his arms and yawned. "Looks like a good time for a nap," he said, and he went to sleep. Do you see Drippy on that leaf? That is the life of a water droplet. Same life over and over. Now, what are some other things that happen to water? Well, we build water towers and store water in them so it comes out our faucet and we drink it. And how does it come out of us? Yes, when we tinkle, it comes out of us. We get a lot of water from food, not just from drinking, but we get a lot of water from food. We might fill the bathtub up with water, and then where does the water go? Down the drain? Where does that go? It goes through pipes and sometimes out into the dirt, and sometimes it goes into a sewage from the city that treats it and then releases it back to go to the rivers. And once it gets to the river, what's it going to do? Evaporate and go back up to the sky. An animal could drink it. It could be used for processing foods or washing out a paint can. Water has many things it does, but it always ends back up in the ground and it goes back up to the clouds. Ends up in the ground, goes back up to the clouds. It's called the water cycle. So water just as ages old. You might be drinking a glass of water that Moses drank, and you never know because it goes around and around and around. We might be taking a bath in some of Noah's Ark water that he floated the ark in. All right, so you're going to get a sheet, and I believe your sheet is blue, and it looks like this. Oops, sorry. Water cycle. On there it says collection, precipitation, evaporation, and condensation. Which part of those words were in our story? You need to be cutting it out while we talk on the black lines. Well, we talked about evaporation. What is evaporation? That's the process that water leaves its water drop form, goes up as a mist to the cloud, and then when it gets cooler, what happens to it? It condenses. If you want to see water condensing, you need to fill up a plastic or a glass cup with water. Ice. A lot of ice. It's just a little bit over the top with ice. And then fill it with water and let it set for just a few minutes. Before long, there will be water on the outside of the glass. That is condensation. Do you think the water's leaking through the glass? There is water in the air all the time. Even though we can't really feel it, it's there. And all you have to do is get that glass cold. And then when that air around that glass gets cold, what happens? Water condenses. In fact, I'll show you. Let me just fix some right now. So I'm going to get a glass, fill it up, and put some water in it. And before the end of class, I bet it will have condensed water on the outside. And if it doesn't have time, then you do it at your house. See, I've got a big old glass of water, and we're just going to let it condense. Let me show you some other condensation. This is from a lid. You see those water droplets on that lid? That lid came off of a hot bowl of potatoes, and we let it cool down and we put it in the fridge so it cooled even more, and water appeared on the top of that lid. That's because there was water in the air, and as it got cold, it turned back into droplets. That's condensation. It's neat. All right, well, it happens in the sky too. Now, precipitation, we really haven't talked a lot about precipitation, but it simply means rain coming down, or snow coming down, or hail, or sleet. Any kind of water falling out of the sky, we call it precipitation. That's just a big word for rain. Excuse me. All right, mamas, you're going to probably not love me that much, but I found out, because this is the first time I've made this book, that this little thing on the back has to come off. And so you can see I peeled mine off. Just peel it off carefully. It'll come off. And because this is so big, this is the only place that it's going to fit is on the back. And we'll just cover up our pink spot or whatever color spot you had. We'll just cover it up with this. Okay, so kids, when you get it cut out, it looks like this. Mamas, peel that off for them. So sorry that I did that. And it's just going to go right here. because I think I checked other places and it's not going to fit anywhere else. So that's where it's going to have to go. So I'm going to glue mine onto the back and cover up my ugly spot with this big blue one. So you get your stick glue, and I have got my, gotta get the edge of it off, the end of it off. Ooh, that's some tough glue. All right. So we're gluing. There we go. Now we're gluing. You can use stick glue for this. Okay. So here we go. Peel off some more of that pink that's sticking up. Okay. Be sure you don't glue your words upside down. Press, 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 press. When you get your gluing on, you have to press. This is thick paper, and it does not want to stay down, so you have to press. Ah, look! No ugly pink spot. All right, now I'm gonna put my pink spot. I don't know what color yours is. This was weather and climate. That was the first thing we did. I'm gonna put it under thunderstorms. I found out it will fit under there. Okay, so that's where I'm gonna put that. So you can re-glue that back down. All right. Press, 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 press. Pressing hard. Okay. You might need to leave that flap open for a while, just to let that dry. So our book is almost filled. We've only got one more spot. All right. So now you have a strip that looks like this. I actually have two of these for some reason. And it looks like this. Okay, so I want you to find that, and I want you to cut it out. I am going to do a short trick. Let me show you like this. And I'm just going to go all the way down my dotted lines, all the way down. And I'll be able to do it just a little bit faster. And I'm going to go up one end. Well, let me do it like this. Go over one end, and then I'm going to go all the way up this end. Just right past the dots. I want the dots to be left on there. Okay. Now, all I've got to do is just snip these apart. They do have rounded corners, so it'll take me just a second to do it. Okay. Get up here maybe where you can see me snipping. All right, you be snipping yours, and I'll be snipping mine. All right, I've got two of them out. Three of them out. Four of them out. Get my trash over there. All right, now if you will notice, these arrows are not all going like one lap. Yeah, they are. Okay, but these two both go up here. And this one goes to this one, and this one goes to this one. So evaporation, I have to look at the picture to make sure I understand. I know what evaporation is. I just want to be sure I'm putting it on the right side of the arrow. So evaporation is going to go right here. Okay? Because when something evaporates, it's got to go up. So we're going to start with evaporation. The water is on the ground. Okay, so evaporation goes on the bottom one. Starts on the ground. All right, and actually, you need an arrow that just goes straight up, because that's what actually happens. All right. And then as it goes up, it condenses into a cloud, because once it goes through up to the cool part of the atmosphere, it gets cool and it condenses into a cloud. Oops, I forgot to cut the bottom of that one off. No, I did. It's just how it is. Alright, so try to get it on there straight. Alright, so from evaporation we go up and we condense into a cloud. And then when the cloud gets too heavy, what happens? Precipitation, then it rains. So once Drippy got into the cloud, he noticed that the cloud was getting darker. That's a nimbus cloud, the dark clouds, and it was going to rain. And sometimes it's not a dark nimbus cloud, sometimes it's just a gray stratus cloud. Like today we actually have some gray stratus clouds, and they kind of cover the sky once it gets to a light shower. Alright, but the nimbus clouds give you thunderstorms and heavy rainfall. Then after precipitation, what is it going to do? It's either going to run into the ground, or it's going to collect in a river, or collect in an ocean, or collect in a puddle. Okay, so it's going to go through collection. That's what we call collection. So they're showing the ocean right here. A lot of water collects in the ocean, right? I think 2/3 of our earth is water. So we should never go thirsty. But for some reason, people seem to have a hard time figuring out how to get the salt out of the ocean. But yet they can send sound through the air from your house back into my house. And I'm like, that's got to be much harder than getting salt out of the ocean. All right, so here we go. And we have our water cycle. So we have evaporation. That's when water starts on the ground, goes up into a cloud, and what does it have? What does it do? Condenses, or forms condensation. When it gets too much, then there's precipitation. It comes down, and there's collection, where it piles up in the ocean or a river or a stream or a puddle in your backyard. There's collection. Okay, so let's say it again. Evaporation, condensation, precipitation, collection. Let's say it again. Evaporation, condensation, precipitation, collection. And water just goes through over and over and over and over and over. That's why I said you might be drinking a cup of water that Moses drank. Or maybe Moses' cow. That's why we have to clean water before we drink it, because it runs all over the earth and animals and all kind of stuff. It just gets a lot of germs, so if we clean it, we'll be safe. All right, that's all we have for science today. I've enjoyed doing this book with you. And we have got one more part to do. And I said we would do a pie chart, weather chart today, but I don't have the brads yet, because I am taping this on Friday for you on Monday, and I will get them this afternoon. So we probably will do that tomorrow. And that is all. So I will see you later.